Let's talk about procrastination. This is one of my favorite topics because it's one of the most misunderstood things that a lot of people try to give advice for that doesn't actually help. So I'm going to share with you the two main reasons that we self-sabotage, why most of the advice doesn't work, and what you can actually do about it. So just for a little context, my name is Saint-Germaine and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and I help people overcome procrastination every single day. So listen up because this is going to be juicy. The two main reasons that people self-sabotage, whether it be relationships, health goals, business, money and spending habits, like whatever it is, there's two main reasons. The first one is that you have a hard time making decisions. You're going back and forth, making pros and cons lists. You just kind of feel stuck and frozen in place, and you're unable to actually step forward because you're not making a decision. Now, the second reason that most people self-sabotage their success is because they are in these sprint, and then burnout cycles. And they don't have enough energy, they're exhausted, they're tired for whatever reason, and they just don't have the energy to do what they say they're going to do. So this manifests in 4 different ways. The first way is having anxiety. Having anxiety, afraid to do things, afraid to make mistakes, and afraid to even make a decision. The other way that it manifests sometimes is you're just focused on having fun. You're so busy, you're really social, you're always doing all of these fun things, watching Netflix, whatever it is. You're just fun, that you're not really taking responsibility for the things that would actually be really fulfilling for you. Maybe because there's something you're avoiding, but we'll get to that in a minute. The other reason that you might be procrastinating is because you might think you have a ton of time. If you're the type of person who's like, oh, I have so much time, if you're an entrepreneur, this could be something to look out for, because if you think, oh, I don't really need to follow a schedule, it'll all just kind of get done, but then you really cram at the last minute and it's under pressure that you actually get things done, that's another form of procrastination. And then the final one is perfectionism. Perfectionism is extremely frustrating, and almost all high achievers and really ambitious people and entrepreneurs, people who are creating something or have a really high drive to achieve something, have this perfectionism tendency, and it is an absolute trap. You could never be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. And you can spend all day long writing an email, making sure you say everything just right, or making, a perfect video with no mistakes in it. And you could just waste so much time and not actually get anywhere because you're just trying to get it perfect. And really, it's because you're afraid that what you do isn't good enough. And when you can get over that, it makes life so much easier because you're already an ambitious person. So when you let go of that need to be perfect, you will just skyrocket forward. I see my clients letting go of this perfectionism tendency and seeing so much stuff happen in their life because they just let themselves free of needing to be perfect. So regardless of how you procrastinate, what your style is, the solution is the same. And here's what you've probably been told about how to stop procrastinating. Just do it. Hello, just do it. I'm trying, it's not happening. That's terrible advice. That doesn't really work. Just do it. Or there's the 5-second rule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go. Well, I used to do that. There's Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, and you count yourself down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That worked for a couple days, and then it just faded away because it wasn't resolving the issue. So most cases it doesn't really work. What's other advice? Set realistic goals. Realistic, measurable goals. Time it all out. Make a perfect schedule. Track your progress. In my experience, there's very few people who are really motivated by that. And it's one thing to have accountability, but having a perfect schedule hasn't really helped many of my clients and procrastination. Instead, it usually makes them feel even more overwhelmed. And another one that I just can't stand, have the perfect morning routine. Like just wake up at 5 a.m. and do 2 hours of yoga and writing and meditation and have tea and green juice and, just have the perfect morning every morning and then everything will be great. That doesn't work either. It's great to wake up early, but honestly, having a perfect morning routine usually just adds even more stress to what you're trying to accomplish, which is getting into action. How do you get into action at 5 a.m. if you can't even at like 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.? Some of these things might work for you if you're the I have plenty of time type of procrastinator, but for the rest of us, this doesn't really work. And then you have motivational people saying, just imagine $1 million. If you want $1 million, write a check, put it on the wall, just imagine it, reach for the stars, dream big. All you have to do is visualize it. But if you haven't made $200,000 or you haven't made $100,000, your mind is literally going to be terrified of $1 million. It has no idea what that looks like. That requires so much change in a lifestyle and responsibility. It's so foreign to your mind that it is going to sabotage everything to prevent that from happening. All right, I know what you're thinking. Okay, these things don't work. Tell me what does work. And I will in just a minute, but first I want to share a story with you about one of my clients, Janet. So Jenna had a network marketing business, and it was about 6 years that she was in her network marketing business and at her part-time job. And she was really stressed. She had 2 kids, and she was working a lot. And she just couldn't seem to break through this threshold so that she could quit her job and go full-time into her own business. And she was very, very frustrated. So she asked me for help, and in our session, she found out, we got to the root cause, and she found out that the reason she was unable to break through wasn't because her, skills weren't good enough, her sales or her marketing or her time management or all of the things that she was trying to work on. She was actually self-sabotaging because she had these beliefs in her mind that if she were to be wealthy and independent and free and not struggling to make money, then she thought that that was greedy. She was afraid of actually making more money than her parents and her friends. And she thought that if she made more money, she would have to give it all away, which is what she was doing. She was giving a lot of money to her sister and her parents. And so her mind just kept causing all of these different ways that she was self-sabotaging, mostly being just exhausted and confused and scatterbrained. So it's actually really, really common that our mind creates these unconscious blocks to our success because no matter how much you actually want your goal, there's some kind of a belief in there that if you have that goal, if you reach it, that it's going to mean something negative. This part of your mind could actually be rejecting your desires if it's too big or too scary or just too foreign or different than what you actually have going on right now. Just like Janet, you could actually be rejecting your desires. But what's really great about this is after identifying these self-sabotage patterns and clearing the beliefs that Janet didn't even agree with, she was able to, within a few months, get her shit together. And yes, sometimes you have to just do it. And whenever you're learning something new, there's this period of just push through it and have resilience and strength. But if you are constantly overriding yourself, it breaks trust. And when you break self-trust, eventually that can turn into self-hatred. And so that is a snowball you do not want to grow. It is way more important that you actually presence to what is happening in your body. And when you learn what your belief systems are and what stories you're telling on an unconscious level and bring those to resolution, bring those to light so that you can decide if you want to keep it or not. And then if you don't want to keep it, you tell yourself a new story and plant that story in the subconscious mind. And then just like Janet, you can create a new experience for yourself. So after we did the session, Within a couple of weeks, Janet, her whole schedule was changing. Her priorities were different. She created some boundaries with her family. And within 3 months, she quit her job and has been just making all the money that she wants, all of the success, thriving, and it really just had to do with changing her beliefs. Okay, are you ready? Now I'm going to tell you what actually does work to help you get out of procrastination and into action. The first thing is you need to be clear on what are you even procrastinating. It's easy to just feel this general sense of overwhelm, and it's really challenging to change that unless you get more clear. Being in this general state of overwhelm is another form of avoidance and just saying, oh, I'm just overwhelmed, I'm just stressed. Like get it down in writing, get clear. What are you actually stressed about? What are you actually procrastinating? So write it down, make a list. I have an automatic writing video. I'll link it around somewhere here. And you can use that practice to sit down and dump all of your thoughts out onto paper and look for patterns. Are you procrastinating having a difficult conversation with somebody? Are you procrastinating doing something you haven't done before, a new thing in your business? Are you procrastinating cutting things out of your life that aren't good for you, whether it's food or bad habits or addictions or relationships or whatever? When you write it down, it helps your mind to start to go into problem-solving mode by being really, really clear on what is the actual obstacle. What's so great about writing it down is that when you actually see what it is, then you realize it doesn't really have that much power. It takes away its power when you can see it on paper and you don't have to just keep it in this general sense of frustration and overwhelm. You can actually do something about it. Next, once you've identified what it is that you're procrastinating, you want to find out why you're procrastinating. This is really, really important. Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of success? Are you afraid that you're going to do something wrong? Do you have this belief that you're just not capable of doing the thing? You got to dig a little bit here. And then again, that automatic writing video will really help you to get into a process where you can go beyond your average daily thinking mind and get to your subconscious mind by just writing and writing and writing until something deeper comes to the surface. And if you'd like to do this the easy way, then come to thelivingnarrative.com and you can schedule a free life direction session, and I can share with you how you can transform your stories and get to the root cause and plant a new story in as little as one session. But you could totally do this on your own. So writing is one of my favorite ways, but also you could ask the people that you're closest with, because oftentimes they can see things that you might not be able to see. So perfectionism is really big, especially with ambitious people. And if you're watching this, I'm sure that you're a pretty ambitious person and you have things that you want to create in the world that are really deep and meaningful to you. But the thing about perfectionism is perfectionists are afraid of making mistakes. And so it is so much easier to just get hung up on the details of something than to put something out in the world that might be criticized. All right, so step one is figure out what are you actually procrastinating. Step two is figure out why you're procrastinating, getting to the root cause. And then number three is the most important step. So step number three has to do with self-care. What do I mean by this? This is really, really important, most especially with my clients who are women and high achieving. This also applies to men, but I think that women really, really need to look at this because there's such incredible powerhouse women doing incredible things in the world. And I know that you are an ambitious person. And this is going to be the key that unlocks your focus, your clarity, your purpose, everything in your life. And this has to do with nurturing the needs of the inner child. Now, the inner child is this part of your mind that is quite childlike. It has very simple needs. What does a child need? Food, nourishment, love, rest, play. It's quite simple. And so there's this part of you, this inner child, that really needs those needs to be met before demanding these big things of yourself. And when you skip this step, you end up burning out pretty fast. I know so many of my clients who used to be in this sprint and burnout cycle. I also used to do that. And I would get into my creative genius and I'd be working and up late just because I was really into what I was doing, but then I would forget to eat or, stretch my body or do some kind of self-care, which was really, really needed. And then I would burn out, and then the whole next day I would lose. I would just be exhausted. And obviously that's not sustainable. Whereas if you actually put your self-care first, you can thrive, and it starts to build momentum in the opposite direction. So you give a little bit of nourishment, whether it's rest, like a little 20-minute nap, and then you're turned on again. Your energy is replenished, and then you can focus more than ever. And the more you do this consistently, you start to build more and more energy overall. And not just physical energy like being awake, but mental clarity, focus, and precision on what it is that you're doing. So you don't have to be in this place of doubt or indecision or questioning the things that you're doing. So anytime you're feeling a little bit stagnant or stuck or frustrated or tired, you got to tune into your body and find out, what do I need right now? Do I need rest? Do I need play? 15 minutes of play, put on a song, dance around, laugh, go for a walk, admire nature. Just 10, 15 minutes of switching gears will put you back into a relaxed state and reconnect to your body and to your emotions, especially if you bring in some laughter. So tune in. What do you need? Is it food? Is it rest? Is it play? Is it some kind of nourishment? Just tune in and find out, because when you give yourself that, you can come back and be clearer than ever. The last thing you need to know about putting an end to procrastination is about taking right action. And what I mean by that is taking the action that is aligned with your soul path. Because if you're trying to get yourself to do something that you absolutely despise, well, of course you're going to procrastinate it. There's only so much faking it till you make it and pretending that you can do before you really start to create some problems for yourself. And not just mental stress and anxiety, but actual physical health problems. If you're not aligned with the thing that lights your soul on fire, that sucks. And you don't need to go to India to go find yourself for 2 years in order to get aligned to your path. You can do it right now by learning how to tune into who you are and let it live in the world. When you have an unbiased person to reflect what is happening in your life, the decisions you're making, the options you have, reflecting the story that you're telling yourself, you can learn so much about who you are and what you actually want. Having a guide to reflect to you and mirror where you are, who you are, what you're doing, what your options are, can help you to make powerful decisions that will move you forward in life. And just think about what that does for your self-trust. That's one of the most important things you could possibly develop, is self-trust, knowing that you're making the right decisions for you, moving forward, trusting yourself. And the more you do that, the more you learn about yourself. Procrastination is never about being lazy or unmotivated or just can't do it, you're incapable of doing it. There's always a deeper reason. There's always something that needs to be looked at, because when you're aligned with your path, it really is effortless. The challenges you welcome, and it's really hard to do something you're not into, but it actually all comes down to perceived value. And you can actually change the value that you perceive something has by collaborating with your mind in a powerful way. So there's so much I can talk about with procrastination, and there will be many more videos to come. And this is why we have so many coaches and why we need so many coaches, because having somebody to reflect to you where you're playing small, where you're selling yourself short, where you're self-sabotaging, and to reflect to you what options you actually have so that you can just step through and make it easier for yourself is like one of the most valuable things I've ever done for myself in my life. And it is so rewarding because you don't have to struggle anymore. And if you don't know how to sit and be silent and meditate and watch your mind, and if you don't know how to sit and write down and really get a clear perspective of what's going on in your life, having a coach is the way to really make it happen quickly. So to sum it up, the 4 ways to get over procrastination: figure out what you're procrastinating, figure out why you're procrastinating, tune in about your emotional needs, the needs of your inner child, rest, play, nourishment. And number 4 is make sure you're on the right path. And if you're not, do a little self-discovery. If you're procrastinating and you want to stop feeling stuck and accelerate your progress, come to thelivingnarrative.com. I have a free transformational hypnosis recording that you can download that will help you to shrink the inner critic, that voice in your mind that tells you, you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, it's too hard, it's too much responsibility. Whatever it is, it'll shrink that voice and it will amplify your confidence. So come to thelivingnarrative.com. You can download that for free. And I've had people who, even after the second day of listening to it, are feeling absolutely amazing, super high energy, waking up early naturally without any other effort except to listen to this 20-minute recording. So go to thelivingnarrative.com, you can download it, and if you're ready to go deeper and not waste any time, you can schedule a free life direction session, and we'll dive into your world, find out what's going on for you, what do you want, what's been holding you back, and what do you need to do so that you can get into action. But not just any action. Action that's right for you in your life right now. The things that are going to actually move you forward, that are going to be deeply satisfying and fulfilling in all areas of your life. So come to thelivingnarrative.com, get your free recording, book a life direction session, like this video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to this channel, and if you have any questions about procrastination or how to transform your story, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Sending you so much love.